Hello, my name's Angelina Rodriguez, and this is my signature project, Small Loss, Big Gains, where I explore how negative punishment can help decrease disruptive behaviors and improve instructional time for young learners with autism. Although I did not conduct this study completely, the results that are going to be discussed and throughout the act and describing the action plan are all to be projected. And since the study has not been conducted, it did not receive IRB approval. Over the past 20 years, autism diagnoses have steadily increased, bringing greater attention to the needs of students on the autism spectrum. Autistic students may display disruptive behaviors in the classroom, which can interrupt learning, reduce instructional time, and negatively impact overall academic achievement. As a result, schools are seeking effective strategies to support students with autism and maintain protective learning environments. Data from the CDC shows a steady increase in autism diagnosis for both males and females over the last 20 years. And with this rise and the accompanying increase in severe behaviors, I felt compelled to explore behavior techniques that could help reduce undesirable behaviors such as hitting, yelling, spitting, and eloping. In my self-contained classroom, I collected baseline data on the frequency of yelling and hitting prior to implementing negative punishment. Over the course of 1 week, data were gathered from 7 students with autism. There was an average of 54 behavior incidents per student in that week. So experiencing 54 occurrences of hitting or yelling in a single week, that can significantly disrupt instruction time and greatly reduce meaningful learning. My research began with developing a clear understanding of autism and its core characteristics. According to the DSM-5, individuals diagnosed with autism demonstrate consistent deficits in social communication and social interaction. And that's going to be seen across multiple settings. These challenges often lead children to rely on behaviors, both wanted and unwanted behaviors, as a primary form of communication, along with repetitive behavior patterns that can also vary in severity. The Autism and Developmental Disability Monitoring Network continues to track the rates in their 2020 report that showed a dramatic increase of autism diagnosis from 1 in 150 children in 2000 to 1 in 36 children in 2020. Because many young children with autism use behavior to communicate, these behaviors are not always appropriate or safe in classroom settings. After gaining that deeper understanding of autism, I began examining research-based theories shown to decrease undesired behaviors. This led me to the work of psychologist B.F. Skinner, who expanded on Edward Thorndike's early studies to develop the theory of operant conditioning. Skinner's research demonstrated that individuals learn by connecting their actions with the consequences that follow them. This concept is especially relevant in educational and therapeutic settings. For classrooms serving children with autism, where disruptive behaviors can interfere with the learning and safety, negative punishment provides a structured and evidence-based approach to reducing those unwanted behaviors. Skinner's work not only shaped the understanding of how behaviors learn, but also laid the foundation for modern behavior interventions. One of the most well-established applications of his research is applied behavior analysis, or ABA. Behavior modification techniques such as negative punishment have been used successfully throughout ABA. ABA is a highly researched therapy shown to improve behavior, language development, and even IQ scores with children with autism. Because of these outcomes, many families and schools seek ABA strategies to support autistic children. Although ABA therapists are not present in every school system, many of their practices, which are grounded in Skinner's principles, can be adapted for both special education and general education classrooms. The intervention that will be used in this study is negative punishment. The terms negative and punishment, they often sound harsh in everyday language, but in behavior analysis, they have very specific meanings. Negative simply refers to the taking away, while punishment refers to removing a preferred item or activity to reduce an undesirable behavior. This strategy does not involve causing harm. Instead, it focuses on decreasing behaviors by briefly withholding something the child enjoys. In a kindergarten classroom serving students with autism, disruptive behaviors can pose significant challenges. These behaviors may interfere with the learning, the social interactions, and just the overall classroom environment. Negative punishment is one behavioral intervention used to address these challenges. Yet there is limited research on its effectiveness for reducing specific behaviors like yelling or hitting in children with diagnosed with autism. The goal of this study is to determine whether implementing negative punishment can meaningfully decrease the behaviors in kindergartners diagnosed with autism so that more instructional time can be achieved and better improvement academically and behaviorally. The action plan for this study is before beginning the actual study, the baseline data will be collected through direct behavior observations, so that's tracking the frequency of each undesired behavior. This initial data will serve as a comparison point for measuring change over time. After a 4-week intervention period, data are to be collected, are to be transferred into a graph to determine whether there was at least a 20% decrease in the overall undesired behaviors across the entire sample. Each student's individual progress will also be analyzed to determine whether they met the 20% reduction goal. The overall success of the intervention will be evaluated based on the percentage of students who demonstrated a meaningful decrease in these behaviors after 4 weeks. The intervention itself will be implemented twice per day over a 4-week time span, beginning in March 2026 and ending in April 2026. The sample will include approximately 7 to 10 kindergarten students diagnosed with autism who receive instruction in a self-contained setting. The exact number may vary due to the potential enrollment changes during the spring 2026 term. Convenient sampling will be used to ensure consistent access to participants and reliable implementation of the intervention. Prior to the start of the study, parents will be given a consent form to authorize their child's participation. In addition, collaboration will take place with the administration, the special education teacher, and paraprofessionals. This step is essential to ensure that all team members clearly understand their roles in implementing the behavior intervention and collecting data accurately and consistently. This study aims to maintain strong internal validity by using consistent data collection procedures, implementing the intervention in the same way each day by the same staff, and ensuring that all staff members involved receive the same training and expectations. These controls help ensure that any changes in student behavior can be confidently attributed to the negative punishment intervention rather than any outside variables. At the same time, the study supports external validity because it takes place in a natural classroom setting with real kindergarten students diagnosed with autism. The use of typical classroom routines and commonly used behavioral strategies increase the likelihood that the findings can be applied to other self-contained or early childhood special education settings with students of the similar population. One of the ethical concerns in this study is the risk of distress, since briefly removing a preferred item may cause frustration or emotional discomfort for some students. It is important that this strategy is applied gently and consistently and with close attention to each child's emotional state. Another consideration is confidentiality. All student identities and behavioral data must be protected to ensure that no personal information is shared outside the research team. That's while each student is assigned a number rather than their initials. Finally, the study requires careful monitoring of unintended consequences. Sometimes an intervention can lead to a new or escalated behavior, so ongoing observation is essential to ensure that the strategy remains safe and effective and appropriate for each student. So the achievement that we're hoping to see is if the intervention successfully produces that 20% decrease in the undesired behaviors, like stated earlier, we can expect several positive outcomes, such as fewer disruptive behaviors, and that will naturally lead to an increase in instructional time. So that will give students more opportunities to learn. It will also promote more socially acceptable behaviors, improving interactions with peers and staff. With more instructional time and improved behaviors, staff should anticipate growth not only in academic achievement, but also in students' social development. So the next steps for this study is to complete the study, is to complete the intervention and analyze the data to see whether there is that 20% decrease in the undesired behaviors or unwanted behaviors. If the strategy proves effective, it can be used to guide future behavior plans and improve how staff responds to challenging behaviors. Even if the decrease is smaller, the results will still help show what worked well and what may need to be adjusted. This research adds to the limited evidence on the use of negative punishment with young children with autism. It offers a simple strategy teachers can use to reduce disruptive behaviors and increase learning time. For my school, this work supports better behavior management, clear expectations for students, and improved academic and social outcomes in our self-contained classrooms. Thank you.